Good morning in there. Out there. I'm in here, out here. Vivi's not with us this morning. She's still gnawing on her treat from her walk. It's dewy out there. Morning, Mark. Mariana. Julie said it was good. I don't know why coffee varies. I don't know why anything varies. Let me know if you know. I'm reading a wonderful book, Begin in Gladness, but it's not for everybody. It's a book about poetry affects people's lives. Sort of shook me up because I've been doing it for 38 years, and its thesis is that it's good for people, but that, takes you places maybe you don't want to go. So then I worried about, did I lead people into something maybe I shouldn't have? I have to think about that. Well, I don't know. But we had snow this week. The other day. When was that? Monday? Tuesday? Boy, that's really good. See this funny finger? You guys anybody have one of these? We went to the physician, surgeon guy, hand guy. He's going to fix that for me. Boink. It's very hard to do namaste when your fingers don't go together. And it turns out, he said, so what do you do or what? And I said, well, I'm retired. And he said, well, what did you do? And oh man, I don't want to say this. Here's this surgeon. I said, well, I really did do that. I said, well, I taught poetry and write poems for 50 years. And you do hand surgery. He said, oh my gosh, my favorite course in all of college. I went to Kenyon. And he said, my favorite course was poetry. I had an English professor from England, and he believed in the epic poem. Yes, I wish we could bring back the epic poem. Wow, we had such a nice time. It's never going to happen where I'm going to be able to say I'm a plumber, tradesman, as they say in Ireland. Write poems, I'm a tradesman. Just like that. No, I go, well, I wonder, I should have kept track of how many times I heard, oh geez, poetry, I never liked that. Or, I just don't get poetry. And that whole way of teaching that makes people afraid to respond, not get. What? Maybe just 2 words in it. It's so important to understand that a poem's like a painting. You look at this, and then you look at this, and you look at this. You don't read like that. That's prose. Oh, and in this book, he used the word sentimental. He defined it as in an over response to a cause that shouldn't have that over response. And I go, that's okay. Why don't they get that's okay? That's what we do. We put an ornament on the tree and a tear comes to the eye because that's an over response to this Christmas ornament. But it's the one Grandma gave us. So what if it's an over response? Now, in a poem, yeah, it's not complex So it's not something that you can explore and have a good time trying to figure out what you're realizing or recognize. I like that, not figure out, that's it. Or recognize what you're realizing. Hi, bud. Hop up. Watch this. Hop up. See? Look at that. Is that something? Remember that guy on Ed Sullivan when the dog wouldn't do it? Here you go, girl. Hop up, girl. Here you go, girl. Atta girl. Hey, atta girl. That's my girl. Oh, God, I love her so much. Poor Julie. She's had headaches and heart difficulties, and my book is upside down. She's knitting. I have too many things. Amazing. You know, my dear friend Mary Ruffles, the poet, Library of Congress interviews, big deal poet. Her father was an Army general. My father was a head basketball coach. They were roommates in college. She never tells you something when she sends you. You just get this envelope and you wonder what's in it. And she's not going to write anything. She's not going to explain it. It's so memorable. I open it, take it out. 1938 football program. From 1938 with those kind of graphics and plain ads. And it's Grove City College, a little college about 15 miles from where I grew up, playing Westminster College, where I went, and my dad coached before he went to Pitt, and where he went to. Okay, so you open it up to the roster is the point. And she's yellow markered it. William Ruffle, guard. Charles Riddle, fullback. 1938. It's in terrific condition. Terrific. Not a rip, not a tear. And she doesn't tell me where it came from, nothing. So of course I write back to her, but will I hear her? I don't know. She doesn't do any technology, no email. She's the person who, when interviewed by the Library of Congress, and they said, "You're compared to Emily Dickinson a lot because you live alone." And she said, "That's it, Pat. I live alone. I've lived alone all my life. Alone. Nobody in the house." Emily Dickinson never lived alone. She loved her sister. She had people in the house. She lived with her parents. She went to her room and out in the garden. She didn't go to town very much, but she did not live alone. I had a hallucination dream. Did you ever have one? What is that? I've never had one. Julie was standing at the end of the bed saying, "It's time, it's time." I don't know what she's talking about, so I get up out of the bed. Literally, actually, I get out of the bed, I turn around, she's not there, so I'm looking all through the house. Where's Julie? Julie, I'm going, Julie. Come walking back in the bedroom, she's sound asleep. "How'd you get back there? I was looking for..." She never got up. I've never had that. I don't know if I ever want that again either. If it's not sweet looking after wonderful Julie. Oh boy, Jim Alice, who works in the prisons. We got to think about this incarceration. Those SOBs like Trump and everything get the headlines, but the people who need the headlines, who need our help, do you know that the prison system, one of his students, he teaches in the prison, one of his students came up and said, "I wrote a letter to my dad for my assignment." Jim said, "Oh, that's nice." And he said, "Well, my dad died the other day." And then Jim finds out they won't let him go to the funeral. They won't let him mail the letter to his mother and his son. They won't let him have contact. Hey, check out. No transition. Well, that's me anyway. I mean, ask Julie. Boom, boom, it's pinball machine conversation. It's the end of the world. Hey, did you feed the cat? Check out Poetry Passages on YouTube and Prose from the Underground on YouTube. Minute or two long poetry passages, 15, and Prose from the Underground. Delightful, nourishing, and as I like to say, and is true, there's the useful and there's the useless, and the irony of paradox of our lives, right, is that the things that really, that so many things that nourish us are useless. What I'm doing right now is useless. What's the dog's use? This is what it's used. But those kinds of things, paintings and music and knitting and golfing, those are wonderful things. We have to recognize, we're just really, look at it this way and you go, we're burning wood in a space. It's called a fire, in the fireplace. Do we need the heat? No, not today. Not even in the winter. We don't, most of us, if you're watching this. Tonight, YouTube, Vespers from the Universalist Unitarian Church in Detroit. It's a wonderful program where there's music and poetry, and it's beautiful. And they invite a different poet. So write down July 27. Yep, July 27. And June 17th at Oxbow, the art colony here, I'm going to lead a workshop, and there's nothing threatening, nothing scary, nothing accomplishing. Is that the work? Nothing to be accomplished in this workshop. And I'd love to see you there. Fly in, those of you in Topeka. June 17th. Yep. We went to a wonderful 60th birthday party for our friend Doug McIntosh. It was held at Isabel's, wonderful place. Recommend Isabel's. And, well, the food wasn't food. It was decor disguised as food.
Delicious.
What?
Also delicious.
And delicious. I don't mean to say that, we were eating cardboard or something. No. Holy cow. Have you ever split an egg in half and then put something in it and then put it back? I mean, there must have been 135 of these things. It was overwhelming. It was just so fun and lovely souls. So thanks to those who prepared and to John who designed. I know. A lovely visit from two students, Precious and John. And the goldfinches are back. And I mean, keep looking because it's all over the place here. There have been 1,302 mass murders so far in the U.S., but we don't want to do anything about guns. No. You know how many there have been in Finland and Australia? None. And none. I always like to tease the Calvinists about being totally depraved. So they always say, well, but the humans, we're depraved people. None. Those Australians, totally depraved. None. Come on. My sister and I sang Deo all the time as kids. We had this Red album. Do you remember that Harry Belafonte album? It was red. And my mother loved him. Oh my gosh. And we played that album over and over. Did any of you come from that time in that family? The gardens are popping out. I'd like Joe Biden's campaign to be something along the lines of showing, people like you and that, and going, you're actually voting for me. All different kinds of people, instead of making this candidate, because to me, that's the truth. Joe Biden is the president, but you're actually just Why? Let's have a whole campaign, just thousands and thousands of people. You're voting for me. Please. Well, probably rambled too long. It's a new poem. And it's interesting because this is a new poem that took, almost close to 50 years before it showed up. And I was really surprised. I've been carrying it around for a long time. It was, those moons, every once in a while you look and there's a moon that comes up and it looks enormous. What causes that? Come on, tell me. What causes that it looks so enormous and is sitting on the edge of the earth before it rises up higher? Well, living in town and little Meredith, she's about 11 months old, she goes toddling down the street and at the end of the street there's another street, but you see the moon sitting right at the end of this cross street, and it's just enormous. And she starts toddling down the street toward the moon. And I just thought that was adorable, and I followed her, stayed back. That's a lot of introduction. Why read the poem? Okay. Title, Once It Happens. The moon, full and rising at the end of the boulevard, sat enormous over the cross street, over the little park, with its seesaw, slide, 3 swings, 2 weathered benches, and a sandbox. Our daughter, 11 months, was toddling down the cracked and crooked sidewalk, arm outstretched, finger pointing. I allowed her to wobble ahead. But then the father in me realized she wasn't going to stop. Quiet as a prowler, I stiffened myself to break into her separate world, quickened my walk, and within my silence, a step or 2 behind, I heard her chanting as if in prayer, "Touch moon, touch moon." Try to be cheerful, be kind. Thanks for watching. Ask a couple more people so we can have big ads from car dealers on here.